Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics in the world of coin collecting, ultra-rare and incredibly valuable state $quarter coins that could be sitting right in your pocket, and you might not even know it. We're talking about coins worth thousands of dollars, so if you're a collector, or just someone who likes finding hidden treasure, keep watching. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this. First up is the 2006 North Dakota quarter, which holds an incredible value of up to $1,000. Now, you might be thinking, wait, how can a regular quarter be worth so much? Well, here's the thing, it all comes down to a rare minting error known as a double die obverse. So, what's a double die obverse, and how does it work? It's an error that happens when the design on the coin is struck more than once, creating a kind of blurry, ghostly effect around parts of the coin. In this case, the double strike creates a noticeable blurring around the words E pluribus unum and the date 2006. If you look closely at the coin, you can see the letters in these areas are a bit fuzzy and overlapping. It's not something you'll see on every North Dakota quarter, but if you happen to spot one, you've found a gem. Now, the big question is, why is this such a big deal? These types of errors are rare, and collectors love them because they're like little glitches in history. A double die obverse gives the coin an almost unique, one-of-a-kind quality, and that's exactly what collectors are looking for when they pay big money. A typical 2006 North Dakota quarter in mint condition is worth about 25 cents, but one with this error could fetch $1,000 or even more, depending on its quality and condition. If you ever come across one, it's definitely worth getting it appraised. A coin that was minted with an extra strike is a major rarity in the world of numismatics. It might sound surprising because, after all, it's still just a quarter, right? But this small minting mistake can make the difference between a regular coin and a valuable, sought-after piece of history. Let's talk about how these errors happen. The process at the U.S. Mint is very precise, but sometimes, things don't go as planned. The dies used to strike the designs can shift, or sometimes, they get struck twice by accident. When that happens, it creates a double die effect, and that's when the magic happens, well, for collectors, anyway. Now, just because a coin looks slightly blurry or has a double strike, that doesn't mean it's worth a ton of money. For something to be truly valuable, the error has to be pronounced enough to be noticeable to the naked eye, and it has to be a mistake that is relatively uncommon. That's why you don't see double die obverse errors every day, which is exactly what makes them so precious. In the case of the 2006 North Dakota quarter, it's all about that distinctive effect. The blurriness around the lettering makes the coin instantly recognizable to collectors who are on the lookout for rare minting errors. And with a price tag of up to $1,000, this isn't just some pocket change we're talking about. If you find one of these, you've got a serious treasure in your hands. Next, we have the 2005 Minnesota quarter, and this one is especially cool because it features an error that has become known as the extra treat variety. So, what's all the fuss about this coin? Well, here's the deal, the Minnesota quarter was supposed to show a man standing next to a single tree. But, in an amazing twist of fate, the coin actually ended up with an extra tree added to the design. It's pretty wild when you think about it. The original design was simple, just one tree standing behind the man. But, in this rare error, there's an extra tree tucked in the background that wasn't meant to be there. Now, that's a design mistake that most people would never expect, but it makes this quarter incredibly valuable. If you look closely, you'll see that this unexpected second tree adds a whole new element to the coin. It's not something you'll find on just any Minnesota quarter. What makes the 2005 Minnesota quarter so special is the fact that this error isn't something you'll find often. Only a few of these extra tree varieties were ever made, which makes them ultra rare. This coin has a lot of appeal to collectors, and because of that, it can be worth as much as $4,500 in some cases. That's right, a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents when it was minted could be worth thousands if it has this unique minting mistake. Now, I know what you're thinking, how in the world does a simple error like an extra tree turn a regular coin into a huge payday? Well, it's all about rarity. The fact that only a small number of these extra tree varieties were struck makes them highly coveted. Collectors are always on the lookout for rare coins, especially ones that have a unique flaw like this. The more unusual the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. But here's the kicker, not every 2005p Minnesota quarter has this extra tree error. So, you won't find this kind of value on just any of them. If you happen to come across one, it's like hitting the jackpot. And that's what makes rare mint errors so intriguing. They can turn what seems like an ordinary coin into a piece of history that's worth a small fortune. What's even crazier is that coins with these kinds of minting mistakes can sometimes increase in value over time. The more collectors know about these errors, the more in demand they become. So, if you're lucky enough to find a 2005p Minnesota quarter with that extra tree, you're not just holding onto a valuable coin, you're holding onto a collector's treasure that's been through a special process in the minting world. It's an accidental masterpiece. As always, make sure to examine your quarters carefully, especially when they're part of state series like the Minnesota quarter. Sometimes, the tiniest errors can make a world of difference in their value. And with a coin like the 2005p Minnesota quarter, that small mistake can mean a lot of money in your pocket. Now, let's talk about the 2009p District of Columbia quarter, a coin that's not only extremely rare, but could potentially fetch up to $2,000. This quarter was released as part of the DC and U.S. Territory series, and it features the iconic image of the Duke Ellington Memorial. It's a beautiful coin, no doubt, but what really makes this particular one stand out isn't the design, it's actually a minting error that happened during production. So, what's the deal with the mint mark error? Normally, on any coin, the mint mark, which tells you where the coin was produced, is placed near the date. On this 2009p District of Columbia quarter, however, the P mint mark was either misplaced or, in some cases, even completely missing. That's a pretty big deal in the world of coin collecting. Mint marks are there for a reason, and when one is either off-center, misplaced, or gone entirely, it makes the coin a lot more interesting to collectors. This error doesn't show up on every 2009p District of Columbia quarter, though. So, if you happen to come across one with this mint mark mistake, you've stumbled upon something that's extremely valuable. Depending on its condition and how rare the error is, a coin like this can be worth $2,000 or more. Yes, you heard that right, for a coin that was meant to be worth just 25 cents, it could end up being worth thousands. What makes this error so valuable? Well, first of all, minting mistakes like this aren't something you see every day. Coins with misplaced mint marks are highly coveted by collectors because they're unique. They're not supposed to happen, so when they do, they create collectible gems that can be worth a lot of money. Think of it like finding an old comic book with a printing mistake. It's rare, it's special, and collectors love it. Now, not every 2009p District of Columbia quarter has this misplaced mint mark. That's what makes it a bit of a treasure hunt for coin collectors. If you come across one, it could very well be your lucky day. It's a small mistake that can make a huge difference in the value of the coin, turning it into a hidden gem that's worth far more than its face value. These mint mark errors are highly desirable not just to collectors, but also to investors. Rare coins like this one tend to appreciate in value over time. As more people get into coin collecting and more collectors hunt for rare minting errors, coins like the 2009p District of Columbia quarter are likely to become even more valuable. So, if you're ever going through your change and find a 2009p District of Columbia quarter, take a good look at the mint mark. If it's misplaced or missing, you might just be holding on to something worth thousands. It's one of those rare moments where a small mistake turns into a big payday. Finally, let's take a look at the 2005p Kansas quarter, a coin that, if you find it with the right error, could be worth up to $4,000. Now, that's a serious amount of money for a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents, right? So, what makes this coin so valuable? Well, it all comes down to a small die crack that led to a pretty cool error, an extra bison showing up on the reverse of the coin. The Kansas quarter originally featured a bison on the reverse, representing the state's wildlife and history. However, a die crack during the minting process caused the bison to appear twice. This die crack error made the bison appear in two places on the reverse of the coin, which gives the coin a very unusual and rare look. The die crack essentially created a double image of the bison, which wasn't supposed to happen. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a little crack, right? But the thing is, this kind of major design flaw is exactly what collectors are after. These errors are pretty rare, and that's why they can command such high prices. A normal, undamaged Kansas quarter is worth 25 cents, but when you get one with this die crack error, it becomes a highly collectible piece of U.S. mint history. So why are coins with die cracks like this one so valuable? Well, die cracks are actually pretty common in the minting process. Coins are struck using metal dies, and over time, the dies can develop small cracks. But it's the coins with major design flaws, like this extra bison, that really stand out. Most die cracks are subtle, and they don't usually affect the design in such a dramatic way, but this one did, and that's what makes the 2005 Kansas quarter with the extra bison so special. Collectors love these kinds of errors because they're a glimpse into the imperfections of the minting process. It's like finding a little piece of history that shouldn't exist but does, and that's what makes it so desirable. You might find a die crack here or there, but a design flaw like this, where it creates an entire extra image, is something much rarer. And the value of these quarters? Well, it can be significant. Some of these 2005 Kansas quarters with the extra bison error have sold for as much as $4,000 depending on their condition and rarity. That's a huge difference from the usual 25-cent value of a standard quarter. So, if you ever come across one of these coins, it's definitely worth having it looked at by a professional appraiser. Coins like these are exactly what collectors love to chase after. They're unique and have a story to tell about the minting process and the small mistakes that make them special. And that's why these Kansas quarters are considered such a big find. So, there you have it. 4 of the most expensive and rare state quarters that could potentially be sitting in your change jar, worth thousands of dollars. Whether it's a double die obverse, a misplaced mint mark, or a die crack, these coins have made their way into the hearts of collectors, and their value continues to rise. Make sure to check your quarters before spending them, because you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you've ever found a rare coin, and be sure to subscribe for more coin collecting tips, history, and more. See you next time.